Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Recently I did a demonstration of Diva and many of you wrote in the comments that I should also check out Repro, which you thought was even more analog sounding. So I asked U-HE and they obliged. Thank you very much to them. But I was looking for an angle for this demonstration. And one thing I've noticed is that whenever I play an OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark song, a lot of you respond very favourably in the comments. So yes, let's recreate an OMD song today. So the song I picked was Messages, which is perhaps one of their slightly lesser known songs, but still a hit because it's got a couple of really interesting aspects to it. So let's head over to my Ableton Session. I'll show you the synth. And I'll show you the song that I've put together. Here's the Ableton Session. Once again, if you're not familiar, each column represents a track. So it looks like we've got 8 or 9 tracks here. And then the clips on each track represent different ideas, musical ideas, in this case, MIDI clips. And we can trigger all of the clips on a single line, on a single row by using the scene buttons. For example, if I've mapped it to my keyboard, scene 1. Now, if you're an OMD fan, you might recognize that classic, iconic arpeggiator pattern. Fun thing about this is that OMD, Paul and Andy recorded this on an old mono synth. I think it was an SH-101, I seem to remember. They got just the sequence playing, ding, 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 on a single note, repeating, and then they toggled the octave switch, the octave transpose switch on the keyboard. It was like a little toggle with 3 positions. They played the whole track through and then manually flipped up the octave transpose toggle switch as the track was playing. That's pretty cool, I think. And an interesting thing about this ARP is that the same pattern on the same note plays through the entire song. So this underpins the entire track. Pretty unusual, but the harmonies weave themselves around this. This stays constant for the entire track whilst everything else is changing. A really nice song composition trick there. Here then is the synthesizer that we have loaded up on this track. When you buy Repro, you get 2 different synthesizers. You get REPRO-1, which we're seeing here, and REPRO-5, which I have on some of the other tracks. REPRO-1 is a recreation of Sequential Circuits Inc. Pro One, I do believe. I'm not 100% certain because it does have an unusual looking keyboard. The Pro One actually had proper keys, whereas this one has one of these membrane style keys. But nevertheless, I think this is the Sequential Pro One. Do let me know in the comments if I'm incorrect about that. But a pretty basic synthesizer. You have 2 oscillators. This is a mono synth, hence REPRO-1. Can only play 1 sound at a time. 2 oscillators. We've got a mixer over here with some noise. We have a filter, a conventional VCF. We have a filter envelope and an amp envelope. So 2 different envelopes if you want to control those, modulate those separately. We have various performance settings over here, a sequencer, which is pretty nice as well, some LFOs, clocks, and here is the modulation here where you can route either the filter envelope, the mod OS-B, not sure what that is, or the LFO to various destinations through these paths here. They do warn you in the manual that this is the section that gives newcomers most difficulty, and I was very confused about it as well, but I've just figured out the basics so far. Yes, this is just a quick first look at these. I haven't dug into them in any depth. Down at the bottom, we can toggle between the keyboard view or a whole bunch of nice effects that you can switch on and off here or drag them around, I think, to, yes, just like so, to adjust the positions. But I don't want to mess with it too much, even though I just have, because I will mess up the sound that I'm using. But here we've got things like distortion, overdrive, delay, reverb, and EQ, and an interesting transient thing at the end that sounds pretty good. So that was the first track. Let's press on and show you some of the other tracks. Why don't we jump to a track that has the polysynth on it, which is, actually let me show you the bass here. The bass came out really nice. wonderful bass sound. I absolutely love that. And I did, let's see if it still remembers it, at one time map up the knobs to that. See if I can get that back again. Now it seems to have lost my mappings. I've made a video all about the trials and tribulations of mapping up the knobs, faders and sliders on your MIDI keyboard controller. How I think we could actually improve this, make it a lot better than it currently is, but I don't have the ability to map the filter at the moment. Beautiful bass line. That would work really well, I think, for some Don't You Want Me Baby by the Human League. I took the trouble to MIDI learn the knobs here on the Arturia so that you can hear the filter sing. Here we go. On track 4, we have an organ sound. On the original song, it sounds like a Farfisa or a Vox or something. I'm not really up to speed with my combo organs. It's not a sound I really enjoy, but I've recreated it somewhat here. Using REPRO-5. Yes, this is, of course, if you're at all familiar with iconic synthesizers, this is a recreation of the Sequential Circuits Prophet 5. Rather similar, actually, in the controls to the Pro One that we just looked at, but this is obviously polyphonic. On this track, we have another instance of REPRO-5 with a beautiful warm pad. This exemplifies the sound of the Prophet 5, I think. Mapped up the filter. I'm also using a whole bunch of effects. I'm actually filtering out a lot of the low end there. Here you can see the effects that I'm using for this particular patch. Again, this is a first look at these synthesizers. I've only really dabbled with them, read the manuals, and I've actually created some of these patches myself as well, which I'm quite proud of. But yeah, this is a first look. We'll revisit these in a separate video, but today we'll focus on the OMD track. So let's get onto that now. First, actually, I just wanted to show you this patch, which I made myself. I'm rather proud of myself. I don't do a lot of sound design, but I needed a riser as we go into the verse, or the main section. I programmed this in with a filter sweep. It's called Woody Rise. You can have some fun with that if you like. Sounds like this. Pretty cool, eh? Okay, let's take a listen to the song. Okay, let me play you through the different sections of the song. I've mapped up these scenes to my numeric keypad here. So press 1, we start the ARP. Let's bring in an electric piano. You'll hear my riser. And into the verse. Like a bridge coming up, or a B section. And then we come into a beautiful solo section in a minute. Let's jump back into the bridge and then I'll jump into the solos. seconds. Start this clip here. Yeah, what do you think? I thought that was pretty cool. One thing that did occur to me as I was listening to the original track and trying to match up the sounds, although we have one of the very best software synthesizers you can get with the most analog sound, I still found that the sounds on the original track were even better. I don't know, it's something about it, the way they mixed it perhaps, the techniques they were using at the time, or the real synths. I don't know, it just sounds so good. So a real respect to them. Back in the 80s, we didn't have any sequencers, plugins, anything like that, but they still managed to nail a really brilliant sound, which is quite hard for me to recreate and get something equally as good today. But yeah, I hope you agree, these two synthesizers sounded pretty fantastic in this context. So there you have it. It was a lot of fun to put that together. It didn't take very long, and I was super impressed with the sounds of the synthesizer. But I do encourage you to go check out the original song, because that sounds amazing as well. I'll see you all next time. Cheerio.